Hi campers, welcome back. Today we are going to be making a dream catcher. So what you need is your paper plate that has its holes punched all the way around. I already colored one side of mine. Make sure you use this paper plate and not the whole one or the half one. And you'll also need your string, some of your beads, some markers or crayons or both, whatever you want to do, and some scissors. So what you want to do first is color both sides of your dream catcher. So I already colored this side. I put lots of polka dots on it and made it blue. So now on the other side, I'm going to take my markers, and it seems to work better if you use markers first and then crayons because it makes it very slippery if you are using your crayons first. So I'm going to put some spirals. With my pink, and maybe one more. And be careful when you are doing the back of it that you don't press it down flat because you want it to keep its paper plate shape. Now I'm going to put some hearts with my blue. And I'm going to put some stars with my yellow. Since it's a dream catcher, it's got to have some stars. But you can do whatever kind of design you want. And you could even make different sections on your paper plate that have different kinds of designs, different colors. Even if you colored your paper plate black and put some yellow stars on it, that would be really cool. Okay, so there's my design, and now I'm going to take my crayons and color. I'm going to color my hearts in first. So color them in. And now I'm going to take a different color. I think I'm going to take my green and color in the rest. Now, if you don't want to go over your designs too hard, because you won't be able to see them if it's too dark. And it makes a fun sound when you're coloring. Alright, almost done. And you can always go over your designs again if you want to, if you feel like you can't see them enough. And be careful when you're coloring because you have all of the holes, so make sure that you don't rip the holes or get crayon all over your table. And you could even make like a tie-dye or a rainbow effect if you want to put a bunch of different colors of crayons together. That would be cool. Alright, that looks pretty good. So there's that side and there's that side. Now the next thing I want to do is cut my string. So I already cut some of my string off because I want to make 3 sections that are about a foot long, which is about that long. So I'm going to cut, and you can make them longer or shorter depending on what you want to do. There's one. All right. So I actually have 4, so I'm going to get rid of this first one. So I'm going to set those 3 aside and take the rest of my string. Now you might have a different color than I do, but that's okay. Take the rest of my string here. Got a little knot. There we go. And I want to tie the first end through. So I'm going to stick it through and put it on the back. So the back is going to be the part that's rounded. And just tie a little bit, tie a little knot in there. And make sure you're going around the holes that are around the middle here, not these two that are on the end or the three that are on the other side. All right, so there's my knot, and I can even clip off this little piece that's hanging off. There we go. And now I'm going to take the rest of my string. My string might be a little long, so I'm going to cut some of this off actually. Cut that off. I'm going to take my string and I'm going to thread it through these other holes, only the ones that make the circle in the middle. Remember, not these three on the bottom and not the two on the top, just the ones in the middle. And all you're going to do is stick it through and pull just like that. And see, it goes right across. And if your string gets a little funky like mine did, you can just clip off the end and just start again. So it works best if you're threading across. So I went down, now I'm going to go up. And then I went up, so now I'm going to go down. And you can make a design if you want to as you're threading, or you can just keep threading. But you don't want to go all the way around in a circle because it won't look as good then. So keep going and keep threading. And remember, you go up and then you go down, and then you go up and then you go down. Oopsie, I messed that one up. Then I don't want it going across like that. So if you mess something up, you just pull it out, try again. And you can go through the holes as many times as you want. Just make sure you go through every hole. It's getting there. So you could either stop, or I think I'm going to add a couple more. All right, so I think I'm done like that. And so now I'm going to take my string again, and you can either cut it off and tape it on the back, or you can make another knot. So I'm going to make another knot. And the whole time you want to make sure that your string is staying tight. So let's get that knot. There we go. So I knotted it right here. And now I have this little extra piece, so I'm going to do the same thing I did before and cut that off. Make sure you don't cut off too close to the knot. So that's what it looks like right now. Now I'm going to take my 3 pieces of string that I cut before. Here they are. And I'm going to tie them through the 3 holes on the bottom here. So 1 through each hole. And another thing, when you were threading up at the top, if you wanted to put beads on as you were threading, you could definitely do that too. So remember, we're saying the rounded part is our back, so I'm going to thread from the front to the back and tie a knot, just like we were starting before. Make sure you tie it so it stays. All right, so there's one. Now I'm going to come over to the next hole, do the same thing. Go from the front to the back and tie a knot. And you can make these pieces of string on the bottom any length you want, if you want them longer or if you want them shorter, it's up to you. And let's do my last piece here. And here's a tip. If you're having trouble getting your string through your beads and rolling it's not working, take a piece of tape and wrap it around the end of the string that's either coming apart or you just can't get it through if it's not small enough. And then make sure it's nice and tight. And you don't want to put too much on or you won't be able to get it through your bead. And then you're going to just push it and it'll come right through. And then you can either pull the tape off or cut that little piece of tape right off. Whatever you want to do. So now I have all three of them tied on the back, and just like before I have these little tails hanging off. So I'm going to cut them off. Remember, don't cut too close to the knot or it will come apart. Okay, so that's what it looks like so far. Now I have these beads over here, and like I said before, you could thread some of them through as you were doing this part, as you were threading up at the top. I'm going to use some on the bottom. And the beads all have different sized holes, so you have to see what fits through. And you could even use a pencil or a paper clip or something if you need help threading it through, or kind of twist it in your hands. There we go. And if it starts to come apart, you can always clip off the end too. So there's one. And you can tie a little knot if you want to keep it on there. You just decide where you want it and then tie the knot. And you might have to tie more than one knot so that it stays. See, that knot's not quite big enough, so I'm going to tie another one. Still not big enough, so I'm going to tie one more. Okay, see, now it won't fall down. So that took about 3 knots. It just depends on what bead you have. So I'm going to take another bead, do the same thing. Now this one's got a pretty big hole through the middle, so instead of tying a knot to stop it, I'm just going to tie a knot around it. See, just like that, I tied a knot around the bead. And if you want to do that, you can do that, if that's easier. Or if you're having trouble tying a knot to hold it on. So you just thread it through the middle and then tie a knot. I think I'm going to do one more on this one. And you can put as many beads as you want. Okay, so now I'm going to do the same thing for the next two. And remember, if your string starts to come apart, you just twist it in your hands to make like a little point, and then it should be able to go through again. So I think I'm only going to put 2 beads on this one, and then I'm going to do my last part. And if your string starts to come apart, remember you can just clip off the part that's coming apart. Alright, so that's what my dream catcher looks like so far. And you see this one in the middle is a little bit longer. So I think I want all of mine to be close to the same. So I'm going to cut a little bit off of that one. Now, if you want to, you could just leave it like that. Or you can take your string and now you want it to come apart. You can pull the pieces and it'll make like a little fringe at the bottom. So just pull them apart and do the same thing here. Grab the end and you just pull on it and it'll come right apart. Usually comes apart into about 4 pieces, but if you want to pull it apart a little bit more than that, you can. Where's that one? And there's my last one. All right, and then smooth them back down. Okay, so now you have all of your fringe on the bottom. Now the last thing you need to do is take some string and you decide how much of a handle you want at the top. And you're going to do the same thing you did before. Thread from the front to the back and tie a knot. You're going to be so good at tying knots. So these are the two little holes up at the top. So go through one hole, tie a knot, then come back to the front, thread through the other hole, and make sure you leave yourself a little hanger, and then you're going to tie a knot. And if you want it to hang down more, you can make this hanger bigger or smaller. All right, and then we're going to do the same thing. Clip off those little ends. Unless you want them, you could fringe them like you did the bottom. All right, now I have a little place to hang it. All right, and here's my dream catcher. And it's double-sided because I decorated both sides. It's got my fringe on the bottom. You can put whatever type of beads you want. If you want a lot of beads, you can put a whole bunch of beads all together. It's up to you. Then find a nice place and you can hang it right by your bed. Come back tomorrow when Mary will be making a funny face flip book. Bye.